Pretty much from the instant that I knew that Laura said yes, and that you damn well better have chosen me to be your best friend. I was thinking about what I was going to say during this speech, so I've been looking forward to it for a really long time. Everybody, I hope you're having a great night. Thanks for being here. It's a bit awkward for me because I only know about half of you, but I'm in the military. And usually when I address a large crowd, everybody's, thank you. Usually everyone's otherwise been told either don't laugh at any of my jokes or laugh at all of them. So I encourage you right now to decide what camp you fall into, because otherwise this is going to be a very long 30 minutes. I'm just kidding. It's not going to be that long. Well, in any case, I'm Drew. I'm the best man. So I'm going to give a very best man speech about my brother, the groom. Very much in the traditional fashion of modeling these things. I'll start off with some embarrassing, slightly borderline inappropriate stories about St. Groom. Move into the heartwarming stuff, and then if I do my job right, hopefully leave all of y'all with a little bit of tear in your eye. We'll see how that goes. And the internet tells me to keep it underneath 5 minutes, but I'm going to do my best. So it's going to take a bit longer than that, but I promise if you keep laughing at my jokes, it will go smoothly. I was initially pretty surprised that Patrick asked me to be his best man. Not because we haven't always been the best of friends, it's that he's got so many other best friends. If you look around this room right now, it's very obvious to see that he draws good people to him like a magnet. He's a good man, and he surrounds himself with good people, and I'm honored to be your best man. So I first thought maybe he just likes my speeches. More likely knew that I'd never turned down a chance to address a boozed up crowd. But first I have to clear up a very pressing matter that I know at least my side of the family, and maybe everyone else is wondering, that everyone must be dying to know. How is it possible that the eldest, obviously best looking, most intelligent person is still the single one? Alas, it's a long, complicated story, and single, non-related ladies, if you want to hear it. I am on Twitter, Facebook, The username is the last Boy 88. That part sounded funnier and less desperate in front of here a couple hours ago. As military brats and being close in age, Patrick and I were pretty much a buy one, get one free deal for every gang of neighborhood miscreants and Little League baseball teams that we came across in the 8 states that we called home growing up. All of those new places made for a lot of adventures, and I was always happy to have a dependable friend no matter where I went. In the early days, I had a nickname for Patrick, but I'm not entirely sure where it came from or how something like Capiolus is something that a 5-year-old comes up with. It sounds kind of Greek, I don't know, but in any case, that's what it was to me from Germany pretty much through New Mexico, was Capiolus, or Cappy for short. And me and Cappy, we were it didn't stick, thankfully. Still call you Cappy when we're old guys. We were big into Roy Rogers movies as kids, and we'd play along in the basement, chasing bad guys, watching movies for hours. I, of course, was always Roy Rogers, and Patrick got to be Trigger. For those of you deprived of Western-themed childhoods, Trigger was the horse. There is at least one family photo documenting this, with me using a chair for a wagon, and Cappy smiling his chubby face off on all fours in the basket, pulling the stagecoach happens to be. I even think that photo might be around here somewhere if you look hard enough on that outside, so keep an eye out. Things were great. It was a great system. I mean, I loved telling Patrick what to do and him listening, and we always caught the bad guys. And then this fellow Brendan came along and just wrecked it. Cappy found out that he could be the boss. But we always had good fun trying to tell each other what to do. Further documentation of Patrick's infectious cheerfulness exists in a now infamous, well, actually, frankly, in my opinion, terrible family video that took place at a birthday party when I was turning 7 or so. We were at a bowling alley. I wasn't exactly bowling my best game, and at the beginning of this clip, Patrick's center frame, and he obviously just bowled an awesome, amazing strike. Just this little chubby kid, just little old and knocked the ball down. And obviously, after that, oblivious to the magnitude of his achievement. He just giggles, wandering off the lane, and there I am in the background, just bawling my eyes out. And, all the other children are kind of staring silently in confusion, and it's a clip that, to this day, that I thank God hasn't made it to the internet. In any case, I realize I'm supposed to be embarrassing him and not myself, but it's, as we'll see, it's just something difficult to do. And it might have taken me 2 more decades, but from this little childhood event, I took a life lesson from Patrick, and that is sometimes life is just more enjoyable if you relax, let things roll, and the pins fall as they may. You guys like that? That was good. This speaks volumes to the man that he's become. And I would like to say, and well, it's actually not a very difficult thing to say at all. Patrick's probably easily the most chilled out and easiest going of the Bergsons. There's no doubt about it. And sometimes it concerns me so much that he's so chilled out that now he's found an equally chilled out bride that I have some concerns. The house could be burning down around these two. I don't think they would bat an eye until the flames got to the couch. My wedding present to y'all is smoke detectors. All right, I'll skip this one in the interest of time. That one's not appropriate. All right, so in Florida, we had some adventures with the neighborhood gang involving some subdivision construction sites. Which, if you're a middle-aged boy, is virtually life's best playground, complete with power tools and any construction supplies. Or if you're a parent, it's your worst nightmare. So one year we turned some poor, unsuspecting family's future backyard into the ultimate fort, complete with an underground bunker system. In actuality, what we really did was just dug a gigantic hole covered up with plywood and sand and called it good. It was all fun and games until coming home from school one day. We saw a bunch of angry construction workers surrounding a pit with a 2-ton Caterpillar bulldozer buried in it, which I can only imagine they thought was a sinkhole. Sorry, Mom, that was us. Until this very moment, no one recognized the true culprits. Moving into the teen years, you might think there were some sibling rivalry that developed, but that really just never was the case. And I'm thankful to say that pretty much all 3 of us escaped puberty with only a few black eyes and broken hearts. Even more so, I really honestly have to thank Patrick for just always being my best friend. He was always better at making friends, and the fact that he always really made an effort to include me, and while that probably might seem like a tough pill to swallow for Elder Brother Burke, I promise you it's not. It's one that I accepted then and still take gratefully to this day. Patrick always has been one who has wanted to see one included, that everyone has had a good time, and I'm still grateful that I can go to him for sound advice on just about anything. In fact, I tend to think of him as my Robert Kennedy to my JFK. Are we allowed to talk about the Kennedys? That's part of Virginia. Cheney and GW. Now he's all grown up and getting married, and he's found a new best friend. And she's one that we're all very, very happy that he has found. Patrick and Laura couldn't be a more perfect match, and I'd like to say I think I knew it even in the Berwick days in Virginia. No one ever seemed to be able to take Patrick's mind away from mindless, trivial pursuits quite like you could. And honestly, when the rest of the neighborhood chuckleheads were out causing trouble, you probably kept him out of more than his fair share of run-ins with the Popo. So, congratulations, he's now permanently your problem. Another side of Patrick that I'm uniquely privileged and positioned to offer some insight on is what he's been able to accomplish in his career. Being an Air Force officer, and more so a fellow intelligence officer, I can tell you it's a stressful and demanding job that he has excelled in and never really seemed the worse for wear. He's brilliant, hardworking, and admired among his troops, and all of these are things that he would never admit himself. It's a trait he inherited from Dad, who sits up on a shelf of military heroes in our minds, somewhere between Washington and Patton. And Dad left the service not so long ago, entrusting his 2 sons with a quote. It's a time-honored one that all Academy cadets are forced to memorize. And that is, there's no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. And oddly enough, I think it's equally acceptable advice for having a great marriage. Thank you so much for letting me do this, Patrick. I know you're regretting it by now. You didn't know how long-winded it would get, but honestly, I do have to say thank you to you, but we also have to remember to thank Mom and Dad. So, because without your example, and really the fact that you raised a good man to be a man of character and purpose and goodwill, he wouldn't have made it to the finish line tonight. So thanks for raising a man that Laura would actually want to marry. So let's all say thanks for All right, finally, I'd like to leave off with a little bit of advice for the bride and groom. Seriously, if you guys find yourself considering having children, Patrick, you being the blondest and fairest blue-eyed of the Burke boys, and Laura with your beautiful red hair. You're probably going to have to use some vampire babies. Some beautiful vampire babies, no doubt, but please, for the love of God, don't let them see the light of day until they're like 7. To the light of day. All right. In all seriousness, we're so happy for you both. We wish you the best. Laura, we love you. I welcome you to the Burke clan. We're mostly a good bunch. Patrick, thanks for asking me to do this. It is without a doubt the coolest thing I've ever gotten to do in my life. So thanks for allowing me to do this. Everybody, let's raise a toast for the beautiful bride and lucky groom. Here's to Patrick and Laura. May your days together be long and happy, full of love, laughter, patience, and understanding. To Mr. and Mrs. Patrick and Laura Burke.